Okay, so let's talk about employees and how to deal with difficult employees in your small cleaning company. This is an issue that happens a lot because when you're a small cleaning company, you really don't have and you don't have a human resources manager. You don't really know how to interview people, how to make sure that you don't hire the wrong people, and then when you hire the wrong people, you don't know how to find a path for them to either improve quickly or to doing as a strategy for them. And so we make, as a small business owner, we make a lot of mistakes when it comes to hiring, because most of the time when we're looking for hiring, we tend to be desperate, and that's when we start making the mistake. So this is the plan. Before you decide that you need someone, right now, today, you need to implement a human resources strategy. When you're interviewing people, if you have 2 managers in your office, make sure that you have the second manager sitting in the interview with you so they have a second opinion about the employee. Most importantly, you need to have an interview paper with preliminary questions that you're going to ask these people. Some of the questions you're going to ask them are open-ended questions, meaning you're going to ask them, have you ever been in a situation when you have to work in a group and it turned out that it was somebody did something terrible? Or have you ever been in a situation where you didn't get along with your group? Or have you ever been in a situation where you didn't communicate well with your manager? You leave it open-ended so they feel in with their own experiences. And sometimes just by asking those questions that are open-ended and that you're looking for answers to give you hints if they're going to become good or bad employees, then you know what, this person might not be the right person for this position. Have you ever been working in a company where you didn't get along with your teammates? Have you ever had a situation where somebody says something inappropriate about you and then you let them say yes or no? And obviously you gotta say, can you give me an example of, or have you ever been, and if so, can you explain please? So you want to look for ways from the interview that you eliminate these people before you even hire them. And then what happens is, if you actually couldn't find those loopholes in the interview, you actually have to have a plan for improvement, meaning you're going to sit down with them. The moment something goes wrong, do not let it go a month, do not let it go a week. The moment you see something is wrong, you need to pull that person aside from everybody else and you need to have a crucial conversation, meaning you're going to be 100% clear with them. Your behavior is not accepted in the company. If this doesn't improve, and you're going to tell them what you want them to improve, if this doesn't improve by X time frame, I'm going to have to sit down with you and give you a written warning. And what that means is that after 3 written warnings, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the company. You have to be clear with them what the consequences are if they do not improve their performance. And the performance could be, you know what, they're talking negative about other people. They could be disrespecting you in public, meaning that, or even just one-on-one confidentially, that they don't really respect you. The problem could be a lot of things that you obviously are having problems with these people. So you're going to make sure that you take them aside and that you tell them, this is what I didn't like. This is something that I do not tolerate in the company. This is something that has to improve. And therefore, this is what I want you to do. I do not want to see that behavior again, because if I notice that you're talking like that to clients, to employees, or to myself or anyone in the company, I'm going to have to eliminate your position and replace you. I'm going to have to replace you. I'm going to ask you to resign from your position, might be the best way to say that, depending on your company structure. I always I'm going to have to ask you to resign, because if they resign, obviously you can figure out how to work with unemployment, so you don't have to pay unemployment, or your unemployment might not necessarily go up. So we can talk about that in another time. But basically, you have to have a plan a performance plan. Now, let's say that that person didn't work out on the performance plan. You gave them 2 weeks, 2 weeks later, or even 2 months later, you notice something else. You take them aside again and you tell them, this time I talked to you about 6 weeks ago and I told you next time I was going to have to give you a written warning. This warning is because X, Y, and Z happened. I need you to sign here and I need you to understand that this cannot happen again. The next time it could be a final warning or it could be another written warning, and this is the plan that I need you to follow in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again. If this doesn't happen again and it becomes a final warning, during that time I'm going to ask you to resign. It depends on your company structure. You could have 3 warnings, you could have 1, you could have... I don't recommend 1 because anybody can make mistakes. I definitely recommend at least 3 written warnings before you ask someone to resign or before you terminate someone. Now, the exit plan is basically when you know that after X amount of warnings, you're going to ask these people to resign. Number 1, you have to write it down. Even if you give verbal warning, you have to make sure that you have filed for the employee and you say, on X day at this time with this employee, I spoke to them about X and Y and Z. And I asked them to improve X, Y, and Z. And I told them next time this will be a written warning. So you have everything in writing, even if it's a verbal warning. So when the verbal warning comes, now you have a verbal warning and you have a written warning. So now if there's something happens again, then you have 2 written warnings, and then the third time is a 3rd written warning, or maybe a final because it's a 3rd. And then the final one, it's not a warning. You are sitting down with them and you're going to give them a paper that says, I am asking you to resign. Please sign here, and good luck. That is your exit strategy. The reason why you don't want to have people like that in your company that are negative, that are disrespecting you, that are not following your rules, that they're telling you when they're going to work and when they're not going to work, and they're leaving houses in the middle of the day because they don't feel like finishing their workday. You need to eliminate these people because you're the one in charge. They're not the one in charge. They're your employees, and you need to have them respect you. When they start bad-mouthing other people, or when they complain in the client's home, or they are infecting the entire organization, not just themselves, not just one person. They are affecting the entire organization, and you need to make sure that you eliminate them. But before you eliminate them, you got to give them a plan to improve. And that's when you sit down with them and you don't let time go by. You have to sit down with them. You have to make sure that they understand that they're doing something wrong and that is not allowing your company, and that if it doesn't improve, it's going to have real consequences for them. Now, I have heard stories, crazy stories of people saying, I don't care, you can fire me. Then you know what? If they say that, you take them aside, and if they are sure that you can fire them, you're not going to play games. You have to let go of that person. You cannot allow them to be the one in control, because they're not. The person in control is you, the business owner. So if you have any questions about this, please do send me an email. Make sure that you follow me on the Facebook. There is a group, the 6-Figure Cleaning Master Class. And the group is designed for all of us to collaborate and to make sure that we can learn from each other. I'm interested in knowing how others are dealing with bad behavior in their company. So log in on Facebook and find the group and share with us how you're working with your group and making sure that you don't have bad apples in your group. All right, see you on the next one, you guys.